Okay, so for this next part, I'm feeling a little bit of we've got a little bit of empty space right in here that I want to fill in, and I'm not real sure what to put there yet. But for now, I think I'm going to extend this a little bit, and then maybe so it comes on, and then maybe it does some type of like rotation. I'm just experimenting here. And let's see, the duration here is it's 20 seconds, so it's still pretty quick. And then maybe it does like a simple rotation like so. And I'll come here and I'm going to hit B on my keyboard, and that brings up the work area start. So if I hit B, it says begin there, and it's just going to preview from here. Something like so. I'm going to select both keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. So that's okay. I don't absolutely love it. I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to hit S, and that's going to bring up rotation plus scale. So set a keyframe there, and then maybe I'll just scale it way down, something like that. And actually, I think I'm going to take the rotation out. And actually, let's do the reverse. Let's scale it up, something like so. Right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. And maybe when it scales up, we could actually reverse, have the center kind of go away. Let's try that. So right there, we want the, I'm gonna reverse it here. Boom, it's out. So right here is where it's out. So we'll drag this keyframe here. See what this looks like. That'll work for now. And then right here is where our show title comes in. So let's go right here and let's add in some type, and we're going to call it After Effects Academy. And we are going to go kind of just center this up. And to center it, we just go to Align, Center. There we go. And I'm using a font here, a typeface called Bungee, and this is on Adobe Fonts.com. So if you have the Adobe CC subscription, which I'm sure you guys do, you should be able to easily install this font and use it. We'll change it to regular, and then Option open bracket to set the endpoint. And I'm going to duplicate this, bring it below, and double click and call this Volume 1, the fundamentals, because that's what we're in right now. And this one will change from regular to hairline. Cool. And let's also hit S on the keyboard for scale, and let's just do about half the size on this one. So something like so. So it's about half the size. Now we're going to do some parenting. So we're going to take the parent pick whip here, and we're going to pick whip the smaller type to the bigger type. So now if I take this bigger type and I scale it up, it's going to scale the smaller type with it. We'll switch to full res so we can see everything. And there you go. So we can now do things, simple things like scale it up, and it keeps the same properties, right? It's going to scale it in relation to the layer it's parented to. So I'll move this up here a little bit, maybe scale it up, and we can always scale it up on its own, even though it's parented to a layer above it. So I can say, well, instead of 50%, let's go 65%. And we'll drag it down a little bit. And that works for me. Let's also bring some X's in here and some displacement. I definitely want to see some displacement here. So I'm going to set a couple keyframes, and maybe those are set to 2 and 1. And let's just preview by hitting the period space. We're just going to preview this by hitting the period. So the music fades out here, but I think it'd be interesting to have it kind of, do a little bit of displacement here. So we'll set another keyframe here. We'll command click to make these regular keyframes, and then we'll build up a little bit of displacement here. Maybe more on the vertical, a little bit less on the horizontal. That's interesting. And then we could, so it scrambles, and then right here, so another keyframe, and then here we'll go back to 0. That's what that looks like. And like I said, I want to put some X's maybe around this. Could be kind of interesting. So let's go to an X here. Let's Command D to duplicate it, and we'll just bring it down here. Something like so, and we're going to shrink it way down. Maybe like a 3. I'm just using my arrow keys on my keyboard there. So then it kind of goes away. Maybe it kind of glitches out. Well, it might be kind of interesting to keep it up here. So the text could drop off right here. Let's see what this looks like. So there needs to be some type of transition right here. And an easy way to do that would be to use one of these film pre-renders I have. So let's just drag them in here, take them over the top, set them to screen, and just see if one of them works. And we could actually start them a little bit sooner here. I don't want to use that one. Let's try this one. I like the big X right there. That's a nice transition. Now, I don't really want to see... So I like that. I don't think we should see this again. Head and then that thing, because we already saw those. So if I was to start it right here, and maybe drag this, see what this looks like here. That's kind of interesting. And then maybe bring in film 1 just to carry the film effect across a little bit longer. So we'll set this to screen as well. It's a little bit long on the film effect there, so let's try and turn this one off. And maybe we'll enlarge this one a little bit there. Just playing with some positioning there. So to make this a little bit more interesting right here, let's add a little bit of displacement as well. Right when it pops on, we'll do a lot of vertical right here. Yeah, that's cool. And then maybe here it drops back to 0. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to give this type a little bit of life. And it might be interesting to see it kind of like jiggle, like the type. If each piece of each character was to just slightly move, it'd be pretty interesting in my opinion. It would kind of match the look. So let's do that by opening up the text, and let's add a position animator. So there we go. So there's our position animator. We want it to just slightly move, maybe, let's go in the negative. Let's make it move up just slightly. So like maybe -4 pixels. But as you can see right now, everything's moving up together. So if we open up range selector, we open up advanced, and we scroll down here, and I'm going to move some of this around here. I can turn randomize order on. So now it's going to be just randomly picking a character. I'm going to say I want all the characters excluding the spaces because there are 2 spaces here. And now if I mess with my offset, you can see how it's kind of like moving things around. And so all we have to do now is just set some keyframes. So we're going to set a keyframe. We're going to actually start at the beginning. And let's just say we'll go every 10 frames. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we'll maybe move it here. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So something like that. And now let's just preview this. So that's kind of interesting. It's a little bit too much of movement. So I'll turn it down from -4 to -2. So it gives the text just a little bit of life that kind of matches the kind of jittery look that's kind of going on. Something else I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit P for position, set a keyframe, change it to a hold keyframe, and go, oh, let's say 1, 2, 3, and kind of just with my arrow keys here, I'm just moving it slightly. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3. Oh, that one's a little bit further. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's keep going here. I'll quit saying 1, 2, 3. So here I could just copy and paste then the remainder. So I'll do Command C and then Command V. So now it's kind of got this stop motion-y look to it, which I'm going to turn the audio off here. I'm going to lock the layer, turn the audio off. So it looks pretty cool. And because we parented our Volume 1 fundamentals, that text is going to move with it, which is pretty interesting. So, works for me. What else we got here? Let's do a playback here. So now I think that the X should move with it as well. So easy to do, just find the X shape, and I'm just going to take the parent link here and link it to the text. And you can do that by dragging this pick whip. You can also just select here and say it was set to none. You could just find our text layer, which is layer 12, click it, and it's parented. So now if I preview, the X is moving with the text, which is cool. And turn the audio back on and back it up to the beginning and kind of just watch this again and see what I think. And we are at full res now, so that helps kind of finalize things and how they're actually going to look. Extend this out. Yeah, because I can already tell that the text is going to end too soon. If we end it before 8, there's 2 seconds of black here. So let's just bring this out. And you can already see a problem. So this pre-comp here for the X shape isn't long enough, right? So it stops there, cuts off, and it doesn't stay up with the text. So if we wanted to extend that, there's an easy way to do that. And it's called time remapping. So I would just select the layer. I'll go up to Layer, Time, Freeze on Last Frame. And you can see here it added a keyframe and it extended it indefinitely. So I can go here to where I want it to end. And maybe actually just have it kind of stay up there by itself for just a split second and then disappears. And maybe actually at this point, a big X pops on. That could be interesting. So let's just actually move this layer. I can type in right here. I need to go to 913. So I'll type in 913. There's our big X for a split second and it pops. So it goes out and then it's gone. So I also remember there's a spot right here that I want to put something in there. So I think an easy fix would be to try and add a glitch shape back in here. So looks like there is a glitch shape there and we're not seeing it because T for transparency is turned off. So we'll turn that on. Yeah, that's interesting. Should we go ahead and extend this out? But maybe what we'll do here is have that pop off. And then we'll have this guy pop on. What's this one? Another circle. Okay. So he'll pop on. And then maybe right here is where that circle pops on. And I want to see an X again right here. So we'll duplicate this. And then maybe there's too many X's, but I just want to see it right there. And let's go ahead and do Effect Channel Invert. There's our X. And maybe we do like 3 I'll duplicate that one. Drag it over here. Maybe it's 2 actually. That could be kind of interesting. Right there's a lot of white, which is kind of bugging me. Try overlay, doesn't do anything. How about hard light? Doesn't do anything. We could try difference. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Save that. And there we go. There's our retro glitch effect. I think it looks really nice. I could tweak and tweak and tweak this for hours. One section is I feel like could be improved a little bit is this section, which let's see here. This is what I like to do. I like to change things up if I can. So maybe we parent this guy to this bottom one and do something like that. So already, right? Already more interesting. All we've done is duplicated the layer and scaled it up and parented. And maybe if we brought, that's kind of interesting too. So it just hangs on there for a second. And this could use something, I don't know what. Let's see here, circular shape again, maybe. Let's duplicate that one. Let's bring them over here. And let's take off some of the movement there. Maybe if this one's like, you know, half the frame, that's somewhat interesting. A little bit big, maybe. Let's try this. Maybe rotate it. -45. Let's have it pop on real quick. And then sometimes with some of this stuff, I like to try and add a solid to the background. I tried to do this earlier, it didn't work. You can see by adding this, you can see that a lot more noise pops on. Let me try and just see here. If I was to make it 100% black, yeah, that helps it. So now there's noise everywhere versus just on these graphics. But then I do want to check things and make sure that I'm still seeing things, because sometimes with these transfer modes, certain things will disappear. So you can see how much difference this is making. So right there, we're not seeing this particular piece of footage because it's set to overlay. So if we, let's see here, if we set this to, I don't like that. If we set it maybe to a hard light. Yeah, I do like that. So now I'll come back into this layer and I'll readjust the levels to make it a little darker to match everything else. And you see I'm losing some of this text here, but I'm okay with that. Because actually what I really like was learn to use it now, how to operate. So that's cool. Looks like we're seeing all this. And we've got this here, which we'll set this to hard light as well, just to see. Yeah, I really like how it goes really dark. Cool. Okay, so one final thing I would like to address is motion blur and frame blending. So for this particular example, we were not able to address frame blending. Frame blending typically happens when we have footage, like I'll show you right here. So I'll take this footage, I'll take it into a new composition. And if I wanted to, we can see here that this footage is currently 1 second and 1 frame long. So if I was to extend this to something like 4 seconds, okay, that's slowing this footage down by a considerable amount. So if I was to look at the stretch column and really stretch this out and take it all the way down here to the end, what frame blending does is it looks at all of these frames and it starts blending them together so it looks more cohesive in a sense. So like right now we can tell this is very jumpy. It doesn't look so hot. It's really slowed down. Frame blending sometimes can do an amazing job, but sometimes it's not so great. So for this example, what I would do is I would turn frame blending on right here. I would also turn it on up here to enable frame blending. And then you can see already how the frames are kind of blending together. It's almost like very quick cross dissolves that happen in between the frames. So it looks a little bit better. There is another option here that you can click, and it creates a different type of frame blending mode. Depending on what you're working with, this can work really awesome. Sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it does not look good. You can see it's creating a lot of artifacts here that, you know, just don't look so hot. So that's without frame blending. Like I said, this is, you know, it's very jumpy. This is with frame blending enabled. Looks a little bit better. So you have to turn it on here, and you have to turn it on for the composition, for the timeline up here. And then let's jump back into the main comp here. And for one other example, I just want to show you motion blur. For certain examples, motion blur is, you know, really good to use. For other examples, it may not work so well. So for this example that I just built, it's not necessary in my opinion. You could turn it on, which here's frame blending, here's motion blur. So I'm going to come down to this layer right here, which is these guys, and I'm going to turn on motion blur. And I have to come up here and also turn it on. And immediately you can see here what's going on without and with. So it just creates, like, you know, a real type of blur from objects when they're moving. And like I said, sometimes it works really well. Just depends. Like, this is a piece that's, you know, more glitchy, more graphic-y. And because of that, I don't feel that motion blur is necessary. But it could, you know, kind of bring it to another level if I was to enable motion blur. So I could just quickly hit Command A, and it's going to select everything in my timeline, and I could just click that, and motion blur is on for everything. And I could render out at this point, and certain things are going to be take advantage of it. Things that are moving in position, things that are scaling, things like that, things that are rotating are going to use it. So as I mentioned, for certain pieces, motion blur works wonders. For other pieces, it's not quite necessary. For this particular example, I don't think it does any good. I think it actually looks better without motion blur. So I'm going to turn it all off for that. That will do it for this final lesson on the fundamentals of After Effects. And I hope that you're able to walk away from this training series understanding After Effects, understanding how to use it fundamentally. There's a lot more to After Effects than what we've covered here. After Effects is a very, very deep program. I've been using it for getting close to 20 years now, and there are still new things I discover about it all the time. So this was the fundamentals of After Effects. I hope you enjoyed the course. Until next time, I'm Cameron, and this is Motion Science.